is Life After Sports podcast with your host, Kevin Johnson. And tonight we're another night of series of Women in Sports series. So we've been having these series of just interviewing just women that are highlighting what you guys are doing within the sport, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. Just wanted to go ahead and highlight that. And tonight we have a special guest. Her name is Asjha Jones. She is a champion in everything she touches her hand. She's a champion. Just got to put that out there. I know you're very humble, but I'll go ahead and be your hype man for the night. And currently she's a WNBA coach, assistant coach, and as well as she's a serial entrepreneur. So this is episode 21. We are blessed to have you tonight on our show, and I just want to say thank you.
No, I appreciate you having me. I look forward to this.
Thank you. So I know we have people jumping in. Before we go ahead and go ahead with these with the questions and just jumping into your journey in life, from basketball to what you're doing now and what you're doing transitioning life after sports, with what's going on in the media today. You know, not to go into a whole political conversation, but because you are a part of the WNBA as a coach now, was a player. And just seeing, what's happening in this country with the, Breonna Taylor, and I know and I know LeBron was on television last night. He didn't, after watching the game, he didn't want to harp on it, but it's just like, it's blindly, it's in your face. Like we don't have a choice but to see what's going on and say something about it.
It's real disheartening. Although you probably already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like you knew, like we knew, because this is
we knew
Taylor's oldest time, but to have it just thrown right back in your face, we had a lot of hope. People put a lot of energy into getting their voices heard, trying to affect change, and it's like a slap in the face every day, all day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to swallow, but, we still got to keep pushing and keep fighting, and it's just a hard pill to swallow. Just down here living in Florida is real difficult also because, it's all sides out here where we live.
Yeah.
So having our kids go to school with these people, having to interact with people who don't think like you. And so leaving the house every day is difficult, not knowing who you're going to encounter. So every day is challenging. We like to think we made progress, but at the same time, it don't feel like it right now.
It don't feel like it right now. It really doesn't. And, what was the conversation you guys having? I know you don't have to go into detail, but in regards into the locker room with players, especially in WNBA, where I don't know what the percentage is in regards to players that are Black women. You may know that number.
At least 80%.
80%. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm pretty sure that conversation was difficult to have as well, where I don't know if you guys gave it, where players were just able to just speak their mind on how they feel.
Our players do a great job of actually taking the time to be educated and be informed. It's nothing worse than a person who out here speaking about things they don't know anything about. In our league, our players, they do a great job of actually taking the time and putting in the effort of learning the background stories, learning the history, and trying to just really educate themselves. So when they say things, it's not to be taken lightly. They've done the work. They are continuing to do the work to speak about these topics. So when everybody wants to say they're just athletes, no, they're not. They're doing way more background work than the common people are. So
absolutely.
For our team and our organization, we are heavily involved in the fight. So going to work every day is comfortable for us. We're comfortable to speak about these things. From the top down, they make sure they bring it up first. They never want us to bring it to them. They're proactive in giving ways and just making sure the door is open so people know, hey, if you got an idea, please come on, tell it. Let's try it. Whatever you want, we'll try it. I mean, it's enough space for all that. Everything needs to be on the table right now.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I love about the WNBA and the NBA as well, that just from top down, they're proactive. Like they want to be on the front line and talk about these issues and how can we be able to make progress with what we can control. And so, with government, a lot of things we can't control, but we got voting coming up. Hopefully people are going out and they're voting and they're doing what they should be doing so that we can be able to start to push this envelope a little bit, further, especially when we, you see things where it's just like, man, it's one after another story, and it could be us. So,
exactly.
With that being said, tonight I really want to dive into you. You know, I
Okay.
want to hear your background, your experience, and with that being said, normally when we do these interviews, we talk about pre-career, then we go into in career, and then we talk about post-career. So we'll start from the beginning. You tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, where did your journey start? Where did it all begin in regards to your childhood?
Well, I grew up in Piscataway, New Jersey. And I usually say Piscataway, people don't know what that is, but it's where Rutgers University is. I got a job at Rutgers every
Okay.
time. They're like, oh, okay. Oh, I know where that is. I've been there. So I grew up in Piscataway, New Jersey. My parents had me when they were really young, so I was actually raised by my great aunt. And my cousins, who was her daughter, her husband actually gave me my first basketball when I was 3 years old. So from the time he gave me that ball, 3 years old, took me to the park, ever since then, I've been kicking and screaming if he tried to make me leave. Basically. So I basically grew up with a ball in my hand, and I've loved the sport since the first time I seen it, touched it. It was just me, and I was big. I was a big kid, so that actually helped. Um, but yeah, I don't know what else you want to know about those old days.
When you say you was a big kid, in comparison to when did you start playing little league? I would say little league basketball. When you
Rec.
start playing organized basketball.
Yeah, so my first rec, I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And I got there. And before that, I was just at the park playing with people in the neighborhood. But my father took me to my first rec when I was 10 years old. And I get there and I'm just the biggest kid in the gym. It was co-ed, but I was literally the biggest kid in the gym. So
At 10 years
my
old?
at 10 years old, I've always been tall. I stopped growing basically when I was 12. I'm 6'2", by the way.
So
In a
hold on,
size
you
12
peaked
men's
at
shoe.
12?
Basically, I might have grown like a half inch since then, but yeah.
Okay. What size shoe you said? You said
I wear 12
14.
men. I wear 12 men,
Oh,
13
12.
women, 13 and a half women. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
I
Wow.
know.
Wow.
That's when my foot stopped growing
Wow.
too. So, yeah.
But no, it's crazy because you said you stopped growing at 12. So that's like at 10 you were right. You're probably 6 foot already. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry about that. So I was
Okay.
saying at 12 years old, you was probably 6 foot already at 10.
I was. I was. I told you I was a big kid. No exaggeration.
Look, how did it make you feel though? Did you feel uncomfortable? You know, going through childhood is a little bit different for everybody. You know, like damn, I'm taller than the guys and the girls, and the you know.
Nah, it was tough though. My father would take me out. We're hanging out, and people would think I was his wife. So, like, stupid stuff like
You're
that
like,
was happening to me. I'm like, I'm 10.
I'm 10. That's my dad.
It's my father. We look just alike. What are you talking about? That's gross. Ew.
Oh man.
But yeah, it was a point of conversation all the time. Like, oh, you're so tall. Yes, I know. Thank you. Oh my God, you're so tall. Yes, I know. I know. I know. But
You're
it
like,
is what
thanks, I
it is.
appreciate it.
Yeah. No, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, when did you figure out a time where you like, you know, I'm as at a young age, every kid kind of knows like, damn, I'm falling in love with this sport. And did you play any other sports?
I didn't play any other sport. On basketball is the only thing I enjoyed. People tried to get me to run track, play soccer, do all these other things, play volleyball. We actually didn't have volleyball in my high school, so that wasn't an option. But anything else, I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything outside. I don't want to run on a track. That's not interesting. So basketball. It was basketball all the time. Like there was no days off, no breaks, no off seasons. Because when you're playing for your school or you're playing AAU, it's just a
Yeah.
nonstop grind, basically. So I had really no time for anything else.
Yeah. What was the age that you started playing AAU?
11. 11.
Okay.
Yep.
Now with you know, of course, things have changed from when you were playing AAU to what it is now. What is the disparity in regards to the game now in regards to AAU? Do you think that it's helping our young people or is it not? What do you think?
I think they're trying to make a change now, but for a long
Yeah.
period there, it just became about games. So when I was playing, my AAU coach he built a team for me so I can practice my skills. So I would train, work on my skills. So it wasn't games first, it was skills first. So that's how I grew up. And I think nowadays it's just win games, games. No one's really working on honing their skills. I think people have been harping on it so much, it's a tide is turning now. But for a long stretch there, it was just like just wearing kids out nonstop, no breaks. Their bodies are breaking down. They're tearing ACLs earlier and earlier. But growing up for me, like we did skills in the gym, you play a little bit, and then you'll go in a tournament here or there over the course of summer. You'll get a little break before your high school season starts, but you've got a break.
Yeah.
These days, kids get no break. Everything is nonstop. The parents are scared to not having practice numbers. They think they're falling behind. But I mean, at some point, they're just kids. They're still growing. They need a rest.
Still growing. Yeah.
They're still growing. So it's way more injuries. People are less skilled than they used to be. I mean, the athleticism and everything has skyrocketed, but they don't have all those fundamental skills that my generation had.
Yep. They come out raw, like really raw.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
raw. Like you can run like a deer, but they ain't got no post moves.
Nothing.
No footwork.
It's incredible. I'm like, how'd you get this far?
Well, yeah, it's different. And now you see a lot more trainers popping up, you know, focusing more on that because it's lacking in the game.
Well, even with that, there's all these gimmicks. People out here doing weird stuff with basketballs. I'm like, you would never do that on the court.
Never do it in the game. Yeah.
Never do it in the game. What are we doing? Just give me one basketball, maybe a two ball dribbling drill. But otherwise, I'm like, what are we doing? You can't do that's not realistic.
Yeah.
But don't get me started on that.
I know. Look, we'll go into coaching. I don't even know if I told you that I was a college basketball coach for 10 years. So I coached women's basketball at the junior college level and then Division II. So in regards to the development.
You understand.
I understand. I understand.
You hear my pain.
I hear it. So talk about your experience at high school, you know, making that transition from you were playing at an early age and then doing AAU at 11. Then in regards to what high school did you attend and why that high school?
Well, I went to Piscataway High School. Mm-hmm. I didn't go to a prep school or anything. They tried to get me to go, but I'm a super homebody, and I don't like to do things that make me uncomfortable. I'm like, why would I go over there, wear a uniform, if I can just go to school with people I've known my whole life?
Down the street.
Down the street. It's public school. It's a good school. You know, people from other towns come to this school. So why would I make a change and go somewhere else? So I went to my Piscataway High School.
Okay. And how was your experience there?
Well, freshman year I was starting. 6'2", obviously. I was shy. I was quiet. So I just went to practice work and left, essentially. Probably up until that point, I wasn't really jumping yet, which was strange. I was just so much taller, but I would just, get the ball.
Get the ball.
Yeah, simple so I was kind of like just getting comfortable with my body around that time. And at that point, I ran into my favorite coach, Rich Leary, who taught me how to be a versatile player, like not to be a big player. So I started working on my ball handling, my shooting, everything. I was basically a point forward in high school. I'll get off the rim and just go. Work out. I was in the gym with Jason Williams because he was from Plainfield. So we're neighboring towns. So we grew up in the same gym together. Just working on all those skills, everything. Just a very, very skilled, well-rounded player. And I was tedious about mine. When I got in the gym, I'm like, I can't move on until I finish this first set of things because that's how particular I was.
So you're a perfectionist. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah. Somewhere when it comes to that craft, yes.
Yeah. And look, any job that anybody has, if you're not going to be a perfectionist or try to get the best result out of what you're doing for that particular period of time, you're not going to master it. You don't master the craft if you're not able to work on the details. And I think that's what's missing from the game. And not only that, but missing from life in regards to people in whatever choice of career that they are involved in, that they don't want to do nobody want to do the grind work. They don't want to pay attention to the details.
Instant gratification.
And instant gratification, it give you a nice high and it drop you real quick.
Real quick, right? You don't even know what happened. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you're right. You were right.
Yeah.
So talk about your decision before you went to UCONN. Throughout your high school career, when did you notice, like, you know what, I'm coming into my own, whatever that rhythm is. And you may know what year that was for you in high school. You're like, I'm really feeling myself. Like I understand what my body is supposed to be doing. I'm mentally prepared for the game at certain times, like at certain, whatever that year was. And then when those letters started to come in. So tell me what year did you feel like I'm really as good as I think I am?
probably my junior year.
Okay.
Up until that point, I was getting letters and all that stuff. But again, I wasn't going out and doing all these other things that people were doing. I wasn't going out to do the camps. I did one camp at Rutgers, and I was like, this camp is not for me. I don't like to go. I don't like to be with people I don't know. I'm just going to stick with my team, and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So after that, I was like, nah. So I declined like the Nike All-American camp my sophomore year. Junior year, people who actually are running it, they called my father personally. They're like, I don't care what you do, you have her here. She needs to be here with all these other players. And I was,
They so adamant.
Yeah, they were adamant. They're like, no, like literally, you have to be here. Like you need to realize who you are, essentially. So junior year, I think it started to settle in. And senior year, I was out there killing it.
Any records did you break while in high school?
I think the scoring record for my school, since then it's been broken again. But up until junior year, every year, my AAU coach would talk to me about he finally got through to me with selfless. So I'm a kind of player who wants to pass it around. I want everybody to be involved, everybody to be happy, but that's probably not necessarily the best thing for the team. They're not that good, maybe, or I have a better shot at it. So eventually he got to me. He's like, okay, selfless. Just be selfless. Your team needs you to shoot this shot. You with 3 people was probably better than her by herself.
Yeah.
So
he probably was like, it's a reason why they leaving her open.
Yeah.
Take the shot when you have it.
Yeah. So figuring that all out was just that balance of being a team player, which I really am at heart, and having to take control of the game and do what's best for the team. That was a balance I was kind of figuring out more in my senior year.
Okay. So let's talk about the journey when you decided to get these letters and why you chose UConn out of all these other schools. Even Rutgers. Why you chose UConn?
Well, Rutgers is just literally 10 minutes from my house, and God love Coach Stringer. She's amazing, but maybe if she was somewhere else, but I had to leave home. I had to get away and just like grow up, basically, and I couldn't do that staying home. So I don't know. I narrowed it down to like 5 schools. I went on a visit to Kentucky. I went to so let me back up. So number one, every summer we would go to North Carolina's team camp every summer. So I was going to school there. I just knew it. I told myself I was going to school there. I was there to lose, essentially. So I went there. I took that visit actually with Swing Cash. It was amazing. It was all what I knew it was going to be, but something just didn't quite feel right. Went to Kentucky, and then I went to UConn. And on that visit, I called my father. From the place, I was like, I'm going to school here. He's like, calm down. You haven't finished all your stuff yet. Just relax.
This is when you was at UConn.
I was at UConn. I called my father. Wow. And I said, I'm going to go to school here. And the thing is, I'm the kind of person who's super low key. So they didn't do any bells and whistles. They pick a player, you stay with them, and you just hang out with them. And they just let you know, or you just vibe with the players, vibe with the team. There's like in the middle of stores back then, especially, there was nothing there. So you literally just engrossed in the team. There was hardly any football. It was a small little thing on campus, but it felt like family to me. Yeah. And I had the feeling when I was there. And he's like, just calm down, relax. We'll talk about it when you come home. And I was like, all right, that's cool, but I'm gonna go to school here.
He was like, don't you sign no paper.
Exactly. I'm not there with you. Relax.
Oh man.
Yep.
So talk about your college experience at UConn and playing for Coach Gino. Talk about playing for him and what that experience is, and him being actually one of the marquee, best women's basketball coach in America.
Yeah,
and talk about your experience there.
Well, let me just start off by saying he's a great coach, great program. It's amazing, phenomenal. Best decision I made in my life. But the first year there was literally the worst year of my life. It was terrible. We came in as the Fab Five or whatever they called us, and we came up with super high expectations. And all of a sudden, there's 6 people injured, everyone's hurt, and we're terrible. And I didn't go there to start. Like, I'm the kind of person who gets to a situation, I want to feel it out, work my way into it, get comfortable. And all of a sudden, I'm starting, and I knew we hit rock bottom when he had to start me, because I know he didn't want to.
Who were you playing with at your freshman year? Who was on your squad?
Let me see. Amy Duran, Shay Ralph, Stacey Hansmeyer, Paige Sauer. But going into that, situation, the team had won one national title in
The year
95.
before.
It was in 95. I went to school in 98.
Okay.
So they had won one. So they were like on a program who had made a name for themselves. And we came in with all this fanfare and hype, this class, like, oh, the best class ever. And I'm like, okay, guys, relax. We're just freshmen. But you know how people hype it up.
Yeah.
The best class ever. So automatically people had high expectations. And then literally everyone was hurt. All the starters were hurt. We were deep into the bench. And for a period of time up to that year, the team had won 30 games every year. And we ended up being like 29-5. It was like it's like the world ended. We lost in the Elite Eight. It was terrible. Yeah, which is awful. Practices were a nightmare. He hated us. Like, he kicked us out of our locker room. We lost all our gear. It was just terrible. We were terrible. By UConn standards, we were pretty terrible. We lost games. Like, I don't even know, like, before they had lost to Boston College, we lost to Boston College. It was just a nightmare. So, and I'm a freshman. I was miserable. If that happened to a team today, everyone would transfer. But back then, no one did that.
Yeah. And why is that, though? As you think, because of loyalty, the transfer portals wasn't the way it is now than it was back then?
Don't you get me in trouble, Kevin. You know what it is.
Okay, don't you say anything. Just leave that right there.
You know what it is.
Don't you say anything. I get it.
You know.
But you know what? When that stuff, like, and I'm just talking from a coach's aspect. I don't have any kids. Maybe when I have a daughter, basketball will be right there. Mm-hmm. But I truly believe that when parents allow kids to transfer 4 different times in high school, then get to college and want to transfer, you don't have to say anything because I know you can't. And then they get to college and they want to transfer every other year. You're not setting a good example for, if there's a bad situation or the situation it's not in your favor this year, to work things out. Figure it out, because guess what? In life, that's life. That is life. And if you're not able to handle those things in life, if you can't handle it in high school and college, you get to the real world and you go professional. If you make it professional or you become a professional in whatever career, you don't know you really don't know how to balance with failure. You don't know how to go through and maneuver through that.
Yep.
And so,
amen.
Look, that's all I can say is amen.
Amen. You're not going to get me in trouble here.
No, I know. So, talking about your experience, so talk about the year that you guys won the championship. Mm-hmm. This is in 2000.
So I said freshman year was the worst year of my life.
Worst year.
Sophomore year, so freshman year the men won, and the campus went crazy. We're envious. Super happy for these guys because they were our friends. But we're like, man, we need this. We need to feel this. So sophomore year, everyone's healthy. Everybody's better for having experience playing and all that stuff. So now we got all our guys back. We win sophomore year. Junior year, people graduate. Again, we were supposed to be really good, and we come up short in the Final Four. And then senior year rolls around, and we to this day, I'll tell you, that's the best team in college basketball history, my senior year. Yeah. It's me, Swing Cash, Tamika Williams, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi on one team. So, yeah, we go undefeated 39-0, and we just killed it. It was amazing. I think the best thing about UConn is, every day is like a new day. You're never looking toward the future. You're literally taking it day by day. You don't overlook anybody. Yeah. It doesn't matter, because every time you step on the court, you're beatable. And we would win games by a lot of points, and he would come in and he would say this, one of his favorite lines, drove me nuts. So did you beat those guys because you were better than them, or did you outwork that team, or are you just more talented? And I'm like, here he go. We can't help we're more talented. But literally, when you he always found a way to kind of get into your head and make you work harder. Yeah. Because you can rest on your laurels and just we're better than everybody else. Look at all the talent we got, and get your butt whooped. And that happens all too often. But he found a way to challenge us every day. There, it was all probably a mental exercise more so than anything else. You can go anywhere and play basketball, but there he kind of teaches you how to play. He teaches you how to think the game and how to prepare. We were always better prepared than anybody else playing there.
Do you think the way that Gino coached, or the way that he mentally prepared you young ladies to play, do you think it has attributed to your success not only on the court but off the court as well as into your professional life?
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said about preparation, that's probably a lost art, and lots of things when people fail, they don't know how to prepare. Um, to go into a situation and not take it lightly, to understand that you need to do your background checks, you need to make sure you got all your ducks in a row, no matter what the situation is. You need to walk into it fully aware of what's happening. I think more so in college it was that way, and then it made me anal about professionals because everyone didn't come from the same program I came from.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk in our gym for practice, we got tape on the court, we got X's where everybody needed to be. You had like, it was like robots, like boom, 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 boom. And you go somewhere else and people aren't like paying attention to detail like you are. It messed me up for a little while actually. So I had a hard time watching basketball when I graduated from school because people don't pay attention to detail like we did. And being trained like that, it's hard to see people who just are lackadaisical, who go things about haphazard about their business. We came out as pros. We came out as ready-made pros.
Do you think we have more coaches who are in better preparation in regards to the way his coaching tactics in regards to teaching the game? Do you think it would, if we had that in regards to college overall, everybody's tactics are different, but if we had that type of mentality in regards to more coaches being better prepared, do you think that it would help the players become a little bit more successful at the next level or life after sports?
Well, sure, you can always be better, but I think there has been a huge jump. You can just tell in the programs who've been successful. Think about all the teams outside of UConn who are winning championships right now. People have closed the gap and have caught up. So for a long time, they were saying UConn was bad for women's basketball, but all of a sudden, no one's talking that anymore because now more teams have stepped up their game. When you set a bar up here, people, you either fail or you catch up. Yeah. So I think right now people are really, really, really figuring it out. They're getting talent spreading around the country. But yeah, it can always be better though.
Yeah.
We get some guys in the pros, you're like, how'd you get that far? When you see them on other teams or whatever, you're like, wow, that's a pro.
That's a pro. And you could actually tell right away when you see somebody just because they are more attention to detail.
Yeah.
And you can have two guys or two women that are both professional, and one that would have maybe a longer career is the one who paid attention to detail a little more. And they're more in tune with their body.
Yeah. I also think that players learn that as they get older. Some people have it innate, natural, but it can be taught. So like with our team, we try to make sure everyone's progressing in that way. That's part of becoming a professional. It's part of growing up and maturing. You might not necessarily know it, so someone has to teach you how to show it. And we try to have strong role models on our team, in our locker room, to when new guys come in, this is how we do things, this is how we go about our business. And as they get older, I mean, if you're willing to stick it out with them when they're young, if they show enough promise and aren't disruptive, you can show them and you can guide them the right way to do things.
That's good. That's good. Well, we're going to go into in career because I want to hear about your journey, about, leading up to the WNBA draft after your senior year and being the first round, fourth overall pick. So talk about that experience leading up to the draft and draft day.
Well, it was a whirlwind for us. We won. And then like a couple days later, we're at the draft. And We're also, mind you, we're also in school. We also have exams. We're also in finals and all this stuff. So for us, we were lucky because we were in Connecticut and the draft was held in New York. So as soon as we got back, we have a couple days, whatever, to find an outfit. You got to get dressed. You got to look nice. These pictures are forever. They're forever. So you got to look nice, get your hair done, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, and we drove down to Jersey for the draft. And it's just all happening so fast. When your family meets you there, you're there, all of a sudden you're on the phone with the people who drafted you, and they're asking if we're doing an interview on there. For me, it was just literally like my head was spinning. It was spinning. We had finals. All this stuff is happening. And I wish things were more spread out. We could really get to enjoy it more. I'm not sure if it's that way now. Every year's a little different depending upon the Final Four. But for me, it was a whirlwind. And all of a sudden, I'm going to be in a new place in D.C. So, and after the draft, like literally in like 2 weeks, I'm in DC. and I hadn't even taken my finals yet. Like I still had classes on, so I was in training camp taking finals and writing papers.
That's crazy. They have to figure out a way to change that if it's still like that.
Right.
Because that's weird. Like, I'm a professional, but I still got to go back to school and take
Yeah.
these exams.
Right. So like right now in our training camp, we'll have kids there and they have to make a decision whether they want to stay in camp for that day or go and walk. And that's an important day. Like this could be your future. You know, if you're there, if you're not there, somebody could just literally pass you. And they also, you know, sometimes you know you're not really gonna make this team. So should I stick it out or should I go for it, go walk, which is like a lasting memory for my family, not just you.
Yeah.
But that's the position these kids are put in, that they have to make these hard choices.
Were you able to walk?
Yes. Yeah. I went back. Yeah.
Okay.
It was May 18th and I went back. I remember. Yep.
So talk about what was the most remarkable accomplishment that you've achieved in your career?
I'll say winning the gold medal. For me, that was in 2012. So I was already 32 years old. And every Olympic before then, I didn't even get an opportunity to compete for the team because I was always hurt. For most of a good chunk of my career, I battled like Achilles injuries, knee, just wear and tear because I played year round. After our season of W, I would go overseas and play. So I did this for 12, 13 years. In 2012, I actually had the opportunity to make the World Championship team, win the gold there, and also win London in the Olympics. So for me, that was phenomenal. Playing for your country, winning the gold medal with your sisters, the best players in the world, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it don't get any better with that. And then who were you playing with at that time?
You name it. I don't even know where to start.
You said I don't know where to start, but it was everybody.
Yeah, it was everybody, all of them.
To go into my next question, what was the biggest challenge, being a professional athlete in regards to, you playing in WNBA, then when the season's over, then you're playing overseas. Mm-hmm. It's like, where do you get a downtime, where you really don't?
You don't. And I always say this, it's a huge sacrifice. Like for me, there's like huge chunks of my family I don't really know. Like there's a whole segment of kids and cousins that I didn't really get to experience and grow up with. And I see, I'm like, God dang, you old now. But I was gone. I was literally in another country, and I'm not the best at keeping in touch. So that's a fault of mine. I know it. So just literally missing your family. You go overseas, like right now, our season ended, and a couple of our players had to be in their country 2 or 3 days later. So if you get a week, you're doing good. And then you're overseas. Sometimes you don't even get to come home for Christmas. If you do, you get another week. You play your season over there. You come home, and you're in a WNBA game 3 days later. So you're talking about in a year, you have 2.5 weeks off. When you like literally no basketball, 2.5 weeks. So it's a grind. It's a grind.
Well, not to get off a conversation, I'm so happy that the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, has changed for WNBA.
Yeah,
and so I mean they're getting.
Yeah, I say that it's also bittersweet because like with anything else, when someone's salary goes up, that pushes someone else out. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of good players who aren't going to have jobs because now they're priced too high. Now you got these super high salaries. Now you got to have young guys to kind of supplement because now the salary cap is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like a balancing act that each team has to make. Like next year, we're going to play with probably 11 players as opposed to 12 because of salary cap issues.
Yeah.
So it's great. But then but at the same time, you see the people who are kind of getting pushed out because of it.
Pushed out. So it's an adjustment not only for the players, but it's an adjustment for the league as well as for the team owners trying to figure out the salary cap and how they could be able to maneuver. But I mean, with you saying that there's always a positive and a little bit of negative on both spectrums. Now you see it a little bit more prevalent of players taking time off to go ahead and have a child. Mm-hmm. Whereas back in the days it really wasn't that. It wasn't that a lot because they knew if I go do this, I may not have an opportunity to come back at this particular time and play with my body being at this time, being at this young age. So you see a lot of younger players now, they're getting their kid out the way. They may be in the league 2-3 years and be like, okay, I think it's time.
And now with this new CBA, they're actually getting their full salary. I think in the past they probably got 50%, but now you get your full salary. Shoot, Odyssey Sims had her baby and she was playing. She came back. I I mean, and she was playing. It was unbelievable. I mean, if it was me, I would retire. But she came back and she was killing it. She's been playing wonderful. You see her, you look at her, I'm like, you had a baby?
You just had a baby. Yeah.
Wow.
And I didn't realize it too till I read it. I said, she's playing already?
I know. I'm telling you. I'm like, these people are amazing. I don't know. God love them, because that couldn't be me. But she's playing well. She looks great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So going into my next question now, you got to tell me, how does it feel to be one of 11 players, 11 women basketball players to receive an Olympic gold medal, an NCAA championship twice, WNBA championship? 1 out of the 11, how does that feel? I mean, that's a big accomplishment. That's why I put champion, because we got to, when we say your name, Asjha Jones, champion at each level, then next.
Well, you missed one. I won as a coach also.
Oh,
we're defending champs. Come on now. That list got a lot shorter.
My bad, coach.
That list got a lot shorter.
You said that. Okay, so that now the list gets shorter. Who's in that list now?
I don't think that's just me.
It just wow.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're probably serious.
I am.
You see, that's, I can't deal with your sarcasm. Look, Olympic gold medal, NCAA championship twice, WNBA championship, and one as a coach. So, how does it feel? I mean, look, I'm speechless just saying this running this off to you.
Yeah, basketball has been a blessing. Something I've loved all my life, and just keeps bringing me so much joy. And for a while, I stepped away from the game for about 3 years, but now I'm back into it where I belong. And sometimes you need a break. I've been doing this hardcore all my life, and I just need a little break to breathe. And now I'm all in. It's been wonderful. The people I work with. Now, Coach T is actually the head coach here at DC and general manager. He was my coach for 9 years in Connecticut. He traded for me. So he coached me for 9 years. His son and his daughter grew up with him, and now his son is the assistant coach also. So it's just like a family, just brought back together and united. And we just understand each other. We know the way that we want to play. We understand the rhythm. At the system, some things only have to be said. And it's just a great work environment. It's fun. We win. This year was tough. A lot of guys had to opt out. But at the end of the day, our guys got better who played in the bubble. It's just been phenomenal. I've been super lucky with this sport.
You've been blessed.
I have been.
Blessed and highly favored.
Yes, I have.
So talking about those accomplishments and then, your career that you've had in the league, while being a professional athlete, have you ever thought about, what my life is going to be like after sports? I know you mentioned you took a 3-year hiatus, and, you can be able to share what you taking that time, you took that time for yourself. You can explain what you did, in regards to that time and why it was needed for yourself.
Yeah, well, I was beat up. I was tired mentally, physically. 2015, I won a championship and I retired. So at the end of that, I'm like, you imagine waking up every day and you just hurt the moment your feet touch the ground, searing pain in your feet. So I just needed time away just to clear my brain. I actually got insurance certification. So I'm trying things. I knew playing that basketball was going to end soon or whatever, but I didn't know. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And even still, I don't. I'm still out here trying different things. Basketball is now my safety net, thank goodness. But yeah, I tried that. Doing a bunch of investing, just looking into different opportunities. Now, being back as a coach has kind of afforded me, like I said, my safety net. Shoot, this week I enrolled in a day trading course. Okay. As a player, I started a shoe line, and we're about to ramp that back up. I'm just not, at this point in my life, in my past, I've been afraid of change and afraid to try things. And now I'm trying to get to the point where I'm not afraid to fail. I want to try new things. I want to try all these different things that maybe one day will bring me a lot of joy. And I'm only 40. I still got a whole life to live. I got to sustain myself also.
You young.
Exactly. I know. So I have a whole life to live. And at the same time, I still get to enjoy basketball. That's the great thing about the W and not playing overseas. Now I have the W, and I have also my off season to kind of try all these different avenues that whatever piques my interest.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. I don't know in regards to while playing in the WNBA, if you women had different like post-career development coaches or people who come in and just talk about, hey, these are some things to start thinking about, you know, while you're still playing, to think about that transition? I know it's very hard because when you're on plan A, you're thinking about plan A. Nobody's coming and having conversations about plan B. But I know different leagues, they normally have like different workshops or different things where they give players the opportunity to start thinking about that transition and what it may look like, or to get involved in some things while you're, you know, currently still playing.
I
Do
think
you
that's
guys have that?
I think that's a huge jump our league has made. For me, we didn't have a lot of resources they have now. Now they offer internships, different things like that. There's all these different things that just bringing in to kind of expose players to even different career paths they could possibly take. Like I said, with the internship they do now, and instead of going overseas, you'd actually just let them know what you want to do, and they'll connect you with an internship in your market, wherever you want to be. We didn't have that option when I was a player. I wish I could use it now, but
Yeah.
but
Well,
no, I'm good.
I hope the players are using that, you know,
They
using that
are,
opportunity.
they are, because even when I was a player, you can go overseas and you can make a substantial amount of money,
Yeah.
and now you have to be A-list to get all that money. For me, back in our day, all the players are making pretty good money over there. Now it's kind of like when the economy turned here, the economy turned in Europe also. So now, like sometimes I'm like, listen, I know you love basketball, but at the same time, you need to be ready to start your next career. So a lot of my friends who I grew up with playing, they're now managers. They're super high ups in their companies they work for. And when I retired from basketball, that was it for me. Like I peaked and that was it.
That was
And
it.
these guys are like, they've been working for 20 years to ascend to a certain level, and they're up here. They're managing people. They're running their show where they are working. So for our young guys, like I don't keep telling, but I want them to know that, you know, there's other things besides basketball, because this will be over soon. And then if you want to become a coach, they will tell you you have no experience. So when
Yeah.
I got done playing to get a coaching job, they told me I had no experience. I'm like,
After
literally,
you,
I was like, yeah, I'm like, you saw the resume, right? What do you mean I have no experience? So for some guys, I'm like, maybe this is not the best choice for you to go overseas. Maybe you need to start really thinking about like working on that degree you have, because you have one. We
yeah.
all have one because we have to graduate. Maybe you should start working toward that. I know you love basketball, but sometimes it's not for everybody. You need to start
Yeah.
figuring out your real life plan.
Well, you know, talking about that, I mean, your resume speaks for itself. You know, being a serial entrepreneur. I know you mentioned a couple business ventures that you're involved in. When did you start to come about, hey, I need to get involved with these different things? And I know about your shoe company, which is
Hmm.
called Takara.
Yeah, Takira, that's my middle name.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So your shoe company, and then doing the investment portfolios as well. Like, when did it click? Like, hey, this is what I'm interested in, and I need to start spending some time with that.
So I had this kind of running joke as a player. I'm like, look, when I'm done playing, like I've made people money, like coaching staffs, they've like
Hmm.
made money off our blood, sweat, and tears. I was like, when I'm done playing, I just want people to make me money. That was my little motto I would say. I was like, I want people to make me money. I want to own businesses and just have employees and just like raking money. That's what I want to do. So it hasn't kind of worked out that way yet,
Yeah, it's
but
coming. It's coming.
it's
It's
coming.
coming.
I'm working at it. I'm working at it. So I got more probably into the investing side of it, where I'm not working as hard. You know, I'm not actually like killing my body doing things. I'm working trying to make money in all the different avenues. Like they said, you're supposed to have what, three or four
Three,
streams of
three.
income?
Correct.
Is it four to
Correct.
five? How many actually is it?
Man, it's really like 6 to 7 if you're
Six
really
to
talking
seven,
to me.
right? That's what I thought. So I'm trying to
Hey,
work
but yes.
on that, and just not putting myself in the box. Being open to learn and hear, and just always trying to learn. Me, that's me. All day you see me, I'm reading something. Like I want to learn my history. I want to be more civically engaged. Shoot, anything more about money, investing.
Yeah.
Uh, I've gotten involved in tech investing. So all these
Oh wow.
different things, yeah, like we didn't traditionally have access to, but now like these are opening up for us, and we just got to put ourselves in a position to take advantage of them. You got to surround yourself with the right people, be willing to meet new people, and see what people are really out here trying to do. Because right now, especially being a Black American, like Like, we're waking up. We're waking up. And it's just like, you need to be there for when everyone's awake and all these opportunities are coming around. I'll be ready to take full advantage of them. So I'm trying to prepare myself for all that.
Well, that's what's up. I mean, look, you said a whole mouthful. I think a lot of times players, I'm laughing, but it's true. A lot of times players, they're playing, and when they're finished playing, they go through a self-identity crisis, trying to figure out who am I? Yes. If I'm not attaching the sport to my name, Kevin Johnson or Asjha Jones, if I don't attach the sport to my name, who am I? And then so once they retire, they try to figure out who they are, then try to figure out what's that next step. And even though I know the show is called Life After Sports, our motto for the show is when one career ends, a whole new set of opportunities begin. And that doesn't just go to just athletes in general, but it just goes to everybody. You know, you never know when that ACL may happen and you may be out. You may not recover back the same, or that Achilles and may not be able to come back, or you lost a job. Just they decide to go a different avenue. And so that's why the motto is when one career ends, a whole new set of opportunities. But you have to be in the mindset to be able to want those opportunities, because I think sometimes you can fall into depression.
Yes, you can. You
know, when you lose a job, or you didn't make the team, or you got cut, or, you know, you felt like you should have been that person that A-list player that they should have picked up. And I'm pretty sure it happened to many people in their career, and hopefully people that are watching, that they can be able to take the information that you're giving and the conversation that we're having, that it could be able to help them. That's the reason for this podcast, so that it can help people hear your story that is so authentic, and let them know, look, it wasn't always peaches and cream all the time. Like, there were some things I had to go through to get where I'm at today, and I'm still learning at this age. I'm still learning what is that next step for me, and it's a challenge, but it's a growth process.
Yes, it is. I think these days you have to learn how to pivot. All these different things are happening. COVID hits, whole industries are collapsing. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna ball up and cry? Like, no, you have to pivot. You need to feed your family. You need to feed yourself. You need somewhere to live. You got to take care of yourself. So you have to be nimble enough and open-minded enough, and just have the heart to pivot and try something different and figure it out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was on a podcast the other day. It's called the Restorative Podcast, with one of my friends, Dr. Hall, and we were just talking somewhat similar to what you just talked about, the pivot. You know, I was coaching this. This is on my 10th year. I'm coaching at this junior college down here in Hialeah, Florida, and I already told my AD, hey, I'm leaving at the end of the season. I'm trying to get my African American assistant coaches to be a head coach, because one has been my GA. She played for me when I was the head coach at Broward College, and she was my GA when I was at Lynn, and I wanted to give her opportunity. She put in the work, put in the grind, and spoke to my AD before the season even started. You know, changed the program dynamic the year before. Let them know second year, look, I'm here, but I'm going ahead and give the mantle to somebody else, because I think it's her time. You know, as a coach, we all know when it's that time to make that exit strategy. Right. And so for me, that's what I was planning on doing. It's just that he had another plan before me, so we came back. It's crazy. Look, we could always have these coaching stories. We played this game. I can't remember what team we played. They beat us bad. But, you know, I had a lot of foreign kids, so I was recruiting different. I just had my recruiting class the year before. We had like 6 or 7 JUCO transfers, and then they all went either Division I or Division II. So new class, struggling year, which is it's the norm. But we just broke records last year. We had one bad. We'll have. I won't say one bad game. It was one of the bad games that we had. Okay. Came back. I got not even a phone. I got an email and a phone call. Not no real meeting. Like, hey, Kev, we just gonna go in a different direction. And you know, coaching, anything's liable to happen. So you just got to be like, look, I got to pivot.
For real, that's so rude.
So I was talking with on the podcast, the Restorative Podcast, and we were talking about. I was saying this year, 2020, it was. I would say a tragedy, but to me it was a tragedy because I was already making my pivot or making my exit strategy. It just happened that it happened quicker than I expected. And so when one thing happened where I thought it was a failure and I didn't get an opportunity to put my assistant coach that I wanted to put into place, because that was the real reason for me exiting, he brought in somebody else. But then the birth of this podcast was a whole nother thing. So like the year of 2020 is like, okay, well, this happened. What you gonna do? You're gonna sit down and just take it, or you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna pivot, or you're gonna go ahead and birth something else. And so through this whole situation, I birthed Life After Sports podcast, and I've been running with it, and I think it's just great because I'm able to be authentic and have people like yourself on here to talk about their story, their journey, and be able to help and bless others that are listening.
That's great. Good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's needed. People need to hear all these different stories to know what's even possible. I mean, if you don't see, you don't know about it, how are you supposed to know, right?
Yeah. No, I absolutely. What advice would you give, or that you would like to share with professional athletes who are uncertain of this journey and what's expected?
I think that as an athlete, you're more than an athlete. You're never just one thing. And I think people need to take the time to kind of figure out what that is. Don't ignore it. Don't suppress them. But while you're playing basketball, you actually have all this other free time. Kind of let that live and grow that also. You can do you can do two things at once. You also know that whatever job you're doing, it's not going to be a job you do your whole life. So you need to also have all these things that you're kind of brewing inside of you, where one day, one thing, basketball is going to end, sports are going to end. What are you going to do next? But you've already prepared yourself because you've been paying attention to who you are, you've been learning that, and you've been honing your skills. And I think a lot of times as athletes, we forget that we're more than just athletes. We don't, I mean, we have whole degrees. We're educated people, and you're not just basketball or whatever sport you're in. And I think just really honing in and listening to who you really are outside of basketball and sports is what my advice is.
Well, I hope they take that advice that you gave, Asjha. I hope they take it, they soak it in, and they really absorb it, because I really would love our athletes to just know that. And so for my agenda, I want to be able to push that. Look, you are a CEO of your brand. You can do whatever you put your mind to, and that you don't have to pay everybody to do things for you.
Right.
When you can be informed yourself. If you're informed of the information, you're privileged to it. When you're uninformed, then now that you got to pay now, and I got to pay somebody who's a little bit informed of this particular area, you know. So hopefully they took that.
People taking advantage of you.
Correct. So hopefully they take the information that we given, the gems that we given tonight. Now, the reason I was able to get you on this podcast is because of LaVon. All right, she said, "Look, I'm gonna give you 4 people. Boom, boom, boom. Out of those 4, you was the first. You were like the first one to get back to me and say, "Hey, Kev, I'll do it." And so that's why I want to say I appreciate you. I've been doing this with the Women in Sports series because I love. At the beginning of our podcast, I was interviewing a lot of males, and I had women watching. They're like, "Kevin, where the women at? Where the women at?"
Seriously,
so
we out here.
Yeah, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
Okay.
I change
You're making
it
up for it. You're making up.
I'm making up for it, and I'm trying to do a better job. So I need your help. You know, give me 3 women that you would like to nominate to tell and share their stories about Women in Sports series. So you give me 3 names, and I'll go ahead and I'll research them, and I'll try to reach out to them so we can be able to keep this conversation going.
Okay. Tamika Jeter, that's her married name. Tamika Williams was her maiden name. Swin Cash, and Tamika Catchings.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Tamika Jeter, but you said it was Williams?
Yes. She's actually the assistant coach at Ohio State. Swin, the VP with the Pelicans, and Catch is the GM for the Indiana Fever, WNBA. So, yeah.
Okay.
They'll all be great.
I'll be great. Look, I want to say I appreciate your time taking out on a Friday to come on this podcast and give us some gems and really just talk about your journey. And I hope a lot of people that were tuning in, that they were able to get that. I appreciate it so much. If you want, and you'll be able to find it, we are also on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called Life After Sports Podcast. We're also on Apple Podcasts. And if you would like to tune into the website so that you can be able to be on our subscribe list, and this goes for everybody, go ahead. It's www.laspodcast.com. And so you can be able to see the YouTube video and see everything on there. So I appreciate having you on here. You dropped a lot of gems tonight, and I just thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it. It was a great conversation.
Thank you so much. This won't be the last time I see you. And
I live not too far from you, so come on, don't be a stranger.
Okay.
Okay.
And I have to get your shirt size because I got to get you a shirt. So
All
a
right.
Life After Sports podcast shirt.
Yeah, I
So
wear it
thank
proudly.
you again. Thank you
All
again for
right.
this opportunity.
Thanks, guys.
You have a great night.
All right, you too.
All right. Thank you.